Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Elise and this is my mystical Christmas tree. So today I have for you a series that I have already talked about, and I have talked about it in great length, and it is a series that is near and dear to my heart. And if you watched that video, I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I have Back in a Spell by Lana Harper, and oh my gosh, I reread this book just because it's Christmas time and winter time, and this is the best book to read during this time of year. It takes place in the dead of winter in Thistle Grove, and it is the third book in the series, and I feel like I've said this before, but there's something about the third something in a series that is always my favorite, and this book is no exception. Like, there's something about the third book in a series that has like a hold on me. Like, the third book is always my favorite, no matter what, I've noticed. And it's really weird. It's some sort of pattern, I don't know why. The number 3 like calls to me for some reason. But yeah, so this book, Back in a Spell, is a Witches of Thistle Grove book, and it is so good. Like, it is perfect to read for winter. It's perfect to read for Christmas time. It's perfect to read anytime, honestly. Like, I feel like this is my book that I'm gonna read every December from now on. Like, that's the plan I've made. Like, I always reread Payback's a Witch in October. And now I'm always going to reread Back in a Spell in December. So it's a new tradition now. I read it last year, and I bought it on Audible because I have most of the Audible books now for the Thistle Grove series, and I figured, why not? Why shouldn't I? So I bought it, and I listened to it, and it was the best decision I ever made. It was a really good book, and I loved it so much. And it involves one of the they are not the underdog, but they are considered the villain family of the Thistle Grove series, and they are the Blackmores. They are the most powerful family in Thistle Grove, and they have always been the champions of Thistle Grove. They've always won the gauntlet. They always have had the highest powerful magic in the world. And they're always on top. They're always on top of the world, basically. And everybody in Thistle Grove doesn't really like them very much because they're known for being snobby or snotty or standoffish, or I think I'm better than you, like a holier than thou vibe, I guess you could put that as. But so this book kind of breaks that stereotype, which I thought was very interesting and is definitely well deserved, in my opinion, because when I say that I relate to Nina, I relate to her hard. It's crazy how much I relate to Nina Blackmore. Like, it's almost kind of scary how much I relate to her. But so yeah, she is like one of the elder siblings of the Blackmore family, and she's very misunderstood. Nobody really knows her very well, and I feel like that's the main thing with the Blackmore family. It's like everybody has this idea of them, but they don't really know who they are. Like, they don't know anything about them, really. They're just speculating that they're just a bunch of, for lack of a better word, everyone just thinks they're a bunch of entitled assholes. And really, that's not the case at all. Like, Nina and her siblings have gone through the ringer in terms of families, and I feel bad for them. Like, in a lot of this book, I feel bad for them. Like, I feel bad for Nina. She has an anxiety problem, and she describes herself as like white knuckling it through life, like always trying to be the best, always trying to live up to the expectations of her mom and her dad's not very, her dad's not a very strong presence. Her mom is very dogmatic, And so she's always trying to live up to those expectations put on her by her mom and her grandma and her family. And I feel bad for her. I really feel for her. And so we go into the backstory of the Blackmores, and we understand why they are the way they are, because nobody really knows them truly. And I really like that Lana Harper put into perspective, like, even though somebody seems cold and standoffish and kind of like an asshole, they aren't always really like that. That isn't really truly who they are. Like, everyone has gone through something in their life, and the Blackmore family has gone through a lot in terms of like childhood trauma and family dynamics and all that weird stuff. And like her mom is like a stone cold, like weirdo narcissist type of deal. And it's like, it's really heartbreaking, because I feel like Nina is a really good person, even though she was brought up in that really cold environment. And we also learn a lot about Gareth, who was like the dickwad in the first book, who like broke Emmy's heart and was like, oh, I can't be with a Harlow witch because I'm a Blackmore, blah, blah, blah. We learn a lot about Gareth in this book too, and I thought that was wonderful, because I knew Gareth couldn't be as bad as Emmy had said he was. And I knew that from the beginning. Like, I understand that he broke her heart and he really hurt her, but obviously Gareth is that way for a reason, and it's because his family is like totally dysfunctional. So we learn about Gareth and Nina, and it's mainly about them. So, and I feel like there was a missed opportunity for Lana Harper with this. Like, we learn about Gareth and we learn why he, like in the first book, we know that he screwed up with Emmy when they were kids. But they were kids, obviously. They were 17. Those are children. Like, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what they're doing. It's like that Taylor Swift song, I'm only 17, but all I know is I miss you. And so, yeah, Gareth was a stupid kid. And then in the first book, we learned that he broke Lyndon's heart. And that was like, no going back from that. And we know that he really hurt her. And then in the third book, we understand why he did what he did. And we learn that Gareth still really cares about Lyndon. And I feel like there was a totally missed opportunity to make Gareth the main character of the fourth book. Like, it could have totally been about Lyndon and Gareth getting back together. Like, that is going to be the hill that I die on in this series. And I am regretting that we never got a book about Lyndon. Like when I say that I love the Blackmore family, I really do. This book made me feel for them a lot, and I love them. But I also feel like the Thorne family didn't get enough spotlight in this book series. And I'm regretting that Lana Harper did not write the fourth book about Lyndon and Gareth getting back together, because learning why Gareth messed up with Lyndon broke my heart again. Like, when I read it the first time, I was like, oh, I feel so bad. That's horrible. But then listening to it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel really bad all over again. Like, that was horrible. Like, Gareth, he knows that people have this idea of him, and that he's a classified, like, playboy. He likes to mess around with people. He's messed up a lot with women, and he seems like a jerk off, really. But honestly, like, this book redeemed Gareth, in my opinion. And he talks about he was just expecting Lyndon to break up with him at some point. And he really liked Lyndon. He was in love with her. And we find out that he cheated on her just to give her a reason to break up with him, because he thinks so little of himself that he wanted to sabotage the one good thing in his life. Because why should he deserve anything? That's basically his attitude. Why does he deserve to be happy when he doesn't think very highly of himself, is basically what we learn about Gareth and what we learn about Nina. They don't think very highly of themselves, even though they're the most powerful family. So it's really like the main lesson is that even though they're the most powerful family, they seem like the most unhappy, which is really sad. And so Gareth explains that he cheated on Lyndon just to give her a reason to break up with him. and he says something that really made my heart like sink. Like he says, I'll find someone like Lyndon, but it won't ever be Lyndon. And he's really broken up about not being with Lyndon. And I'm like, if that's not an open door for a second chance romance, I don't know what is. Like, Lana Harper, you set yourself up to have a second chance romance between Lyndon and Gareth. Why didn't you do it? Like, I feel very regretful over this. It's really making me upset. Like, you had the opportunity to like have the biggest redemption arc ever in this book series, and you totally wasted it. Like, the fourth book ended up being about Delilah, which I understand. The Harlows are great. I love the Harlows. They're one of my favorite families. I feel like I like all the families in this book series in equal measure. Like, they're all wonderful. But I really feel like Lyndon and Gareth could have had a beautiful second chance romance if Lana Harper would have just given them a chance to like be reconciled with each other, because there was totally an open door for Gareth to have this big character change, and he totally ended up being a better person as a result of like everything that had happened, and I just feel like it was a really big missed opportunity. So that's my rant for that. But that's not even what the book's mainly about. The book is mainly about Nina and Morty. And Morty is a human who runs this bar called the Shamrock Cauldron. And we first meet Morty in Payback's a Witch. And we don't see him again until this book. I think we see him a little bit in the second book, but this is where it's his time to shine. And I really like Morty. He's a great character. He's considered non-binary in the book, but it says that he likes to go by he/they, so Nina kind of calls him he most of the time. So, I mean, he's non-binary, but he goes by he, so I don't know. Most of the book, he goes by the term he, so it's just what I'm going to refer to him as, because that's what Lana Harper refers to him as in the book. So him and Nina, they don't really know each other, like, at all. Like, he knows of the Blackmores, but he doesn't really know Nina. He mainly knows Gareth, and he knows Gareth for being kind of a jerkwad, which is understandable, but I feel like Gareth had redeemed himself in this book. So Nina ends up going on a date with Morty, and she doesn't even know that she's going on a date with him at first, because they meet on this website where it's like a blind date type of thing. So everyone has like screen names and you don't really know who they are. So they meet each other in person, and she realizes she knows who he is, and she figures out that they tried, that by they I mean the Blackmore family had tried to take his bar, like offer Morty money for the bar so that they could expand their family business. And Nina and Morty, like, they don't like each other in the beginning, which they have a great first date, like when they don't realize who they actually are. Like, Morty doesn't realize Nina's a Blackmore at first, and Nina doesn't really know that Morty was the owner of this bar until after the fact. But they have a really great first date, and it's a little sad in the beginning to see them like not like each other at first. Like, I felt bad, because I feel like they had a really great first date. They had lots of chemistry with each other, and you can tell that it was making Nina happy, because Nina kind of went through a hard breakup, and that's another thing. Like, Nina went through this traumatic breakup with her fiance, who left her like a week before they were supposed to get married, and I thought that was really messed up. And that was another thing in Nina's character arc that really made me like her a lot. It was like, she's gone through all of this hard stuff, but she's still a really good person on the inside, and she's one of my favorite characters in this book series. Like, I really resonate with Nina. Like, I resonate with her having anxiety and problems with trying too hard and stuff like that, and it's just really interesting. And so yeah, Nina goes out with Morty because she just got out of this really bad breakup, and her best friend, it doesn't say her best friend's name. I can't remember her name. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, so her best friend urges her to go on this date and be like, go out with someone who's like totally not like you, who you're not gonna fall for, just out to have a good time and you know, not have any strings attached and stuff. So that's what Nina does. But she ends up falling for Morty, obviously, and one of the big reasons why they get together is because they end up getting witch-bound. And in the world of Thistle Grove, being witch-bound is like the equivalent of like your souls being intertwined. Like in normal marriage, that's what it's described as, but it's like, it's way more than that. It's like your souls are like literally intertwined. Like you can actually feel what the other person is feeling, and like you can basically hear their thoughts too. So they get witch-bound, and they only get witch-bound because after they have this horrible, or after they figure out like who they are, and after the first date, and they realize that this isn't gonna work out, I can't believe I even decided to go out with you. Like Nina gets really upset about this and like goes home, and she like makes a wish inadvertently. Like she makes a wish to be happy, I guess. And so I think the wish gets interpreted as like she wants a romantic partner, which is understandable. That can make someone happier than they would be by themselves. But so yeah, that's how they get witch-bound, is they don't even know that they're witch-bound at first, but like Nina figures it out when she goes to see Morty again, and she realizes she can feel what he's feeling, which is not normal unless you're witch-bound. And she's like, wow, this is really weird. But so yeah, they figure out they're witch-bound, and they end up getting to know each other more, and they end up falling for each other, which I thought was interesting. So it's kind of like a weird, it's almost like a close proximity trope, but like in a really unique way. So like they end up getting to know each other more as a result, and they're trying to at first figure out why they got witch-bound in the first place, and they realize it's because this goddess statue lives in their lake. They have this lake called Lady's Lake, and the lady in question is Belisama, and Belisama is the one who made them witch-bound, which I thought was interesting. And she like puts her favor on Nina in this book, so that's why she's witch-bound her to Morty, because Belisama thinks that this is what Nina wanted to be happy. And as a result of Nina and Morty being witch-bound, Nina's powers get like really overblown and like are really powerful. And Morty even gets powers as a result, which I thought was kind of interesting. So like he becomes a warlock basically by association with Nina, by being witch-bound to her. So they kind of go through like teaching him how to use his powers and stuff. So that was another cool trope in the book, is like learning how to control this newfound power that he has. And so yeah, it was just really interesting to see them grow together as characters, because like at first they didn't like each other. So, and Morty didn't really know anything about her family, which I thought was also interesting. So like he learns more about Nina, he learns more about the Blackmores, and it's kind of like one of the main lessons for me is like not judging a book by its cover. So like Morty learns why Nina is the way she is because her parents suck and her family dynamic sucks. And he learns why Gareth is the way he is, and he gets more understanding towards Gareth, which I thought was good. There was really good character development with that, and the relationships, and really understanding why someone is the way they are. And that's the one important thing in this book for me. That was the main thing. Like I really enjoyed that Lana Harper like dove deeper into this family, and why are they so snotty? Why do they think they're the best? And it just, they don't really think they are. It's just, they feel like they are because they're the most powerful, but it's really, they're not super happy. And I just thought it was interesting that she took this villain family and gave them like a better personality than what was portrayed in the first book. Because in the first book, I didn't like the Blackmores. I thought they were snobby, I thought they were snotty, I thought they were too like stuck up and stuff. But after reading Back in a Spell, I was like, wow, I misjudged them. And like, yeah, that was the whole point, that everybody misjudged them. And I thought that was a really interesting lesson to put into this book series. So in the end of this whole Belisama saga, she takes away her favor from Nina, but Nina ends up staying witchbound to Morty because she wants to. Because Belisama asks her, I can help take away the powers, and because the power thing, it was like everyone in Thistle Grove like shares the magic, I guess. And Nina was kind of like taking more without knowing. Like Nina was taking more of her power than what was necessary. So Belisama like took away that and redistributed it to make it even between everyone. But then she asks Nina if she wants to stay witchbound to Morty or if she wants to give that up too. And Nina and Morty, they end up falling in love with each other. So of course they're going to stay witchbound, which I thought was sweet. And it's kind of an interesting pairing because Morty is like really outgoing, really extroverted. He's got this big, loud family. He grew up in this really awesome, nice household. And his family is like super warm and inviting. And Nina's like the ice queen, basically. And so it's interesting to see like all of these tropes put together. It's like opposites attract, enemies to lovers, close proximity, in like all these different and unique ways. And it's like all woven together so beautifully. And I just could gush about Thistle Grove for like ever. Like I really could. This book series is my favorite. And I'm so sad that it's over with the 5th book. But I'll probably do another video on the 4th book because I need to reread that. I think I'll get the audiobook for that next, just so I can make a video covering all of the books. And I should make a video covering the 2nd book too, because that was also a really good book. But yeah, so my biggest thing with this book is I loved all of the tropes and how they were woven together beautifully in a way that was like totally breathtaking. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved all the characters. I really liked getting good character growth between Morty and Nina. And I think one of my favorite things was getting to know Gareth better and figuring out why he is the way he is. And if there's anything that you can take away from this video, it's that I regret Lana Harper not making a book about Lyndon and Gareth, because I really think that would have been a very good follow-up to the 3rd book, would have been Gareth and Lyndon getting back together. And I know that I said in my Rise and Divine video that it's the last book, because that's what I had heard from other people on like Instagram and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's really the last book. I hope it's not, because I feel like Lana Harper has made this beautiful world, beautiful universe of Thistle Grove, and she has all of these amazing characters. I feel like she could make like at least 5 more books. Like I would love that. I would love her to just make a few more books just involving a couple more characters, because I really think she could do that. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. It's kind of long-winded for me talking about Thistle Grove, but I can't help but talk about what I love. And so I thank you for watching this video, and I thank you for supporting me, and thank you for subscribing if you are subscribed, and please give this video a like if you would so choose to, and please comment down below if you've read any of the Thistle Grove books. I would love to talk to you about it because, as you can tell, I have a lot of thoughts, and this just scratches the surface of that, basically. But I really enjoy making these videos, and I enjoy talking with you regardless of whether you comment or not. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Goodbye, friends.